Alright, cool. Looks like I got this working and now I can get started. So it's Inktober and we're going to focus on, that is totally the wrong brush. We're going to focus on vampires this month. So I was looking at... Alright, cool. Looks like I got this working and now I can get started. Can I turn that down? Come on, work, please. Damn it. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Whoop. Alright, I was looking at vampires, of course. And vampires are often portrayed as, you know, very sexy and stuff, but I think I want to go at a different angle that would better fit my idea of monsters. And I was looking at vampire bugs because I thought that would be creepy if I figured out how to do some sort of vampire bug. This guy. But I think I'm going to do something like a long proboscis. That's not the word. Like a mosquito. What is it? Mosquito. That's not how you spell mosquito. This. I'm thinking of doing something like that. And that guy's a freak. So let's flip back over to our iPad. And we can get some sketches down. I like to start out with a big fat brush so I could get form in there. I was looking at like Hollywood style silhouette, so I thought that would be really cool, a Hollywood style vampire. So I'm gonna explore that for a second, something kind of long and slinky. I think I'm gonna jump to Pinterest and grab a reference. I was already looking at references, so there's that. Hollywood, 1930s. Tall, slinky, monochromatic. And furs. We could do something like that. I'm gonna slap that image into my drawing studio so I can look at it, reference it, and then I can think about this a little bit more. I think a very common silhouette at the time was that kind of, or at least the wanted movie silhouette was that kind of flat, thin look. And she got her hands kind of up, so we could do something like that. Yep, you can't tell what that is at all. Perfect. I love it. It's excellent. I'm still thinking about that mosquito. Shoop. So I'm gonna go find a reference of a mosquito. If I could remember how to spell it. Ooh, the fur on the legs is kind of interesting. Wait, what's that? That's something else. Boop. Okay. We could do something like that. Maybe thin and gaunt. And those tiny lips. Be interesting if we can get like her neck to just be slightly too long, a little bit uncannily long. Is that a thing? Uncannily? I'm not sure. We got that beautiful part, wave, a little tiny curl. That neck might be really thick. We could still give her those classic vampire fangs. Maybe she wears them just because it's fun. I'm not sure. But what I really want to think about is this long proboscis. It's not a This long blood-sucking tube is going to come out of her mouth. And maybe she has really big muscles right here to push it out. And that would be quite sharp. Horrifying. That could be fun. All right, I'm going to think about this silhouette a little bit more. I've been really into this, like, I'm going to say double triangle little thing. I call it an 80s silhouette, but I think it has nothing to do with any of that at all. Nope, horrible. And if we're leaning towards buggy, maybe thin little stick legs would be appropriate. I'm not sure. What I'm really thinking about, though, is those furry pieces that those mosquitoes had on their limbs. I'm thinking like these guys. These interesting fur pieces, and I think it would be cool if we brought that into the design, like she was part bug. And people called her a vampire, because she kind of is. Ooh, legs. I'm gonna fix that. I was just thinking about those slip dresses. Kind of short and small, and then we can do this little diamond bit at top. Is that really what I want? And she kind of has this fur piece. going around like that. I think it's a whole separate weird scarf thing that's all looped up around her. So that's kind of neat. And she also has this extra shawl, this extra sleeve here. So we could pull that. Maybe these two are actually connected. Maybe this is actually a connected piece. That could be interesting. What is my brush? Why is that not working? There we go. Great. And which side do I want that on? I think I want to show off this arm and its arm spikes, so I'm going to do something on this side. And I think it's going to come looping here and maybe do kind of an interesting, dramatic, trail-y type thing. We can have it more spiky to mimic the leg hairs on the bug. Maybe she wears jewelry to match that. I'm not sure. But we know these little chokers was common. I want to do kind of a wave here. Okay. Combine those and look at the last one. I think I want straighter than that. Nope, not like that. I wonder how I can make her eyes kind of bug-like just a little bit oddly bug-like. That would be cool. I should finish mapping out her head before I move it. Okay, she can have this maybe curving straight across decorative piece. And then we'll give her short, cute hair. That probably looks weird from the other side. A little weird. Zoop. Huh? And now the interesting expression part. I think one of the hardest pieces is trying to nail this open mouth along with the stretched jawline. Because the whole face is warped in kind of a funny way. You got her teeth coming in here, and then you could still see her bottom teeth. Lips. It helps if you imagine... Oop. I need help, clearly. It helps if you imagine, if you remember what the skull looks like, basically. You have here, and then you have the jaw, that's a whole separate piece. And when you open it, the teeth go up. Doop, doop. And the jaw goes down. And I do not like that curve, that corner. It looks weird. It still looks weird. Nope. Her nose bridge is going to come up here. I think I want her eyes to be fairly squinted. And I think what I want is like this outward proboscis to morph from her tongue to turn into a horrible extra bug arm, basically. Probably gonna move this over later. It's going to have large muscles like it's taking up her whole mouth. Shoot. That's not bad. I like that. Gotta fix his body. Well, I like this dramatic pose, like she's lunging at somebody. So if we brought the shoulders forward a little bit more, maybe that would work a little better. These skulls are getting in my way. Get out of here. That's interesting. You could pop a little strap. Nope. Pop a little strap in here. Maybe she's in her nightie. I don't know. Nightie. Jewelry. Her neck's really thick. And then probably some moving around now. Maybe I'll move her on this side so that I could show off this main pose that kind of is her whole personality. Her whole aura, if you will. I'm going to combine those, turn down the blarg, and then get in some actual sketch lines that I could paint over later. And I think I'm going to start off with the best one here. Nope. Yes. Do I want that there? Not really. Well. I liked the thicker sketch. What was good about that one? It's a little bit unnatural how far her face is opening up, but I think that works in our favor here. And I think I still want to put those teeth in, if anything, just to be a little bit odd. We'll work her nose bridge up, maybe increase the size of that a little. And then I'm going to flip the canvas so I can stop staring at this side and change the proportions a little bit. Okay. Is her cheek too far out? Because this close, you'd actually start to see part of her brow ridge here. And then you could start getting more facial features. I could give her somewhat pointed ears. I don't know. I feel like that doesn't match the theming though, so I'm going to give her round ears. Like she's a human that got mixed with a mosquito. How did that happen? I'm not sure. What is she looking at? That's kind of weird. Oop. Shrink, form. Now I want her to look like evil. Ooh, There's parts I like and parts I don't like. I think partially her head's not big enough, which is what's throwing me off. She has like no brain up here. But we can give her a little bit of brain, can't we? That looks a little bit better. I want to give her a little cute dewdrop earring, but we'll do that later. I'm gonna pop to a different layer so I could work on her body without messing up her head at all. No, I don't like that. I don't like that either. I think I like that. It doesn't seem quite expressive enough. Lately, I've been kind of always drawing in this little shoulder muscle here. And I just like the expression of it. I've always liked that muscle on everybody. Everyone should have that muscle. Boop. That boob is really, really pointy. I'm going to make it a little less pointy. I think she'll be wearing a little night slip thing bob, or a little slip dress. Whichever. She has her shoulder poking out, her head might be way too big. Another thing about having the head on a different layer is you can easily resize the head. I very often make the head too big. I think it's a remnant of when I first started drawing and I was just drawing anime. I feel like a lot of people in my generation started out drawing anime, so we have this thing of making really big eyes and really big heads. But that could be entirely wrong. Nope. Something is wrong here. Something's wrong right there, and I am going to fix it by erasing it entirely. I think it was the wrong angle, and that is what was bugging me. That shoulder is really flat. I want to make it a little less flat. Get rid of this line. That's better, I think. And then we can do our little moment. Cool. I'm gonna flip back. That eye's freaking me out. It's wigging me out. I'm moving in. Of course, we've all seen the hack where you just shade in one part of the face so you don't have to deal with that eye. But I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to figure out why this eye is not working. And then I'm going to work it until it still doesn't work. But I'll just give up at that point and call it. Oh, wait. She's cross-eyed now. Looking up and away. That doesn't make a lot of sense for the pose because your proboscis is out. Oh my god. So I think I'm gonna have to change that eye and where it goes. Okay. Oop. Nope. Nope. Why are you to the side? It's really lame of you. Whatever. Okay, fine. Now she looks like she's not looking at anything, which is great. I think I want to position the eyes so that they're looking at the viewer. She's looking at me. This eye is really big. Nope. I wonder if I move her jaw out, if that will make me... Ooh, wait. Is that better? I think that's better. That works. I do not like this shading anymore. I'm going to get rid of it. Which leaves good room for a cute little choker type deal. Alright, cool. I'm going to... Why is there a random line down there? Clean up just a little bit. Okay. Combine, jump, flatten, shade. Yeah, her eyes are a little bit derpy, you know. We'll work on that later, though. I want to work on this, which I want to come out as a tongue beginning and then go into a lovely proboscis type deal. And we can achieve a lot of that message with color and a little bit of like straining texture here. I think most of her mouth will be full by this, and then we could shade in the rest like that. Yeah, that works, I think. Ooh. Gross and horrible. Love it. We can make that shiny, which would be good. I do not like that shape, so I'm going to fix it. Okay. Good jump down. Do a little bit of erasing of her cheeks so I can tell if that works. I think it does. And let's deal with the eyes yet again. This is kind of an awkward angle. Nope. Yep. Maybe. Sometimes when I'm having trouble with eyes, I like to put in these derpy little circles to help with placing. Oh yeah, that looks way better. I'm glad I did that. I could give her droopy Hollywood eyes. That might be cool. That eye is way too close to everything else. That might be better, but now it's too messy for me to tell if it is. I'm gonna up that a little bit. Go in. That's better, I think. Her nose bridge is covering her eye up a little bit. And to that extent, her eyebrow shouldn't go past her bridge either. But we should have this. Her eyes shouldn't go to the edge of her face because eyes would never peek outside of someone's face. Not unless you were one-eyed. Yeah, that's better. That droopy effect is kind of neat. We'll erase that. No, that's weird. Mm-mm. I'll leave that there for now and just draw in a hairline. A little bit of work. Ooh, something's weird with her head. Whoop. I think it's because she got no forehead. I'm gonna work on her overall character look. I think I want something long and slinky. I know, revolutionary. Let's see, I'm gonna jump to that's a mosquito. I want to jump to Hollywood glam shots. We get a lot of recreations of Hollywood glam because people are excited about it right now. So, that's something. Ah, yeah, long gloves. I forgot about that as a possibility. I should give her some long gloves and this off-the-shoulder number. That'd be cool. So work on this. I'm not sure if her legs need to make sense, but we could make her waist very thin to kind of mimic that bug theming that we're going for. Or it might look like, just make her look like she's heavily corseted, which is not necessarily what I want. Who is she even? I have not decided. The two ideas I had was Hollywood glam and reimagining the vampire. And my first thought, of course, was mosquitoes, because mosquitoes drink blood. My idea is that she got morphed into a bug, so she didn't originally start out that way. So she was probably a Hollywood actor around the time she got morphed. That is a crooked jawline. And that nose isn't great. Boop. If you start with the little bottom triangle of the nose, it's a bit easier to map it out, because the bottom triangle has like the nostrils and the tip of the nose, and then you can map it out from there, the vamp-skeeto. I'm gonna give her a cute little lip. This small little divot, that's nice. And I want to mimic that cheekbone that she has over here. She has a quite strong cheekbone. Great. Maybe. I think that's too high, actually, so we're going to drop it. Because I want her neck to be a little bit long and a little bit, just a little too long. I want her neck to be a little too long, so it sits uncannily on her. Her head's too big again. Whoop. Oh, I'm on the wrong tool. And now she's sitting too far back. Okay, I think that works. I'm going to jump to another layer so that I could start working on her arms. These are some very long arms. I think I need to shorten them down, because when she extends them out, they're going to be like this long. And that's like down where her knees are. It's very long arms. We can shorten that back a little bit. Whoop. Sweet. And I want to say clutch purses were a thing at the time, but I don't even know. Oh, these things. These long cigarette holders so that you wouldn't get cigarette ash on your gloves. Keep them long. Yeah, no, women back probably around the 30s, 40s had those long cigarette holders so that they could smoke a cigarette but not get any ash on their white gloves, because women wore a lot of gloves at the time. So I could give her one of those. That might be cool. I want to give her that little arm muscle that I had. And maybe we can do something with... I need to separate that into a different layer. Sweet. Now I can start fiddling with this other arm. I think it'd be cool if she was holding one of those long cigarette bits. Very smoky. That's weird. A little less weird. Arm's a little buff. I like that. I still think that's a little bit... I want her arms to be kind of skinny and a little bony. So we can get on with that part. That's kind of neat. I'm gonna flip. Oh, there's a weird bend here. Still a weird bend there. I'm gonna get rid of that. Good, and then we can give her a hand box up there. Holding 2 fingers, very classy. Okay. I like that a little bit better, but something's weird about it yet again. Nope, horrible. Gonna move that up. Two fingers facing us would be down, while she'd have 2 fingers facing up holding it. It would probably be farther on the stem, not in the middle like that. So I'm gonna move it over. And that works a little bit better. That doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Alright, cool. I'm gonna add her fur gown thing bob on top. I drop kicked my reference, but that's okay. Am I on the wrong layer? I am. I want to move things around a little bit to try and push it a little more. Yeah, I like that better. Flip. Alright, so I think underneath we're going to do the off-the-shoulder number that we saw in some of the references. That is a weird angle. We'll go down here. There we go. And I think having a jewel here would be fairly on theme. So we'll put a little circle there. Straps? No. And that leaves good room for some collarbone. And we all love some collarbone. At least I think so. Shoop. Yeah, it's nice. Get rid of that. Add a little bit more. Plush. Okay, I like that. I'm going to jump to another layer and mess around with the fur part. Before I had her arm down, which covered it before I saw the long cigarette thing. So now I'm going to mess with holding it above, and I think it should slope around her, or like that, exposing, keeping one shoulder exposed. That elbow bugging me again. It's gonna bug me until the end of time. That's okay though. We'll do this, and then I think we'll do kind of a funky little... I don't like that. Never mind. That could be fairly neat. And maybe a big clip? No. That is too close to her hand like that. So I'm going to have it extend all the way past her arm so it's not just touching it, just barely. I think we'll have large spine type things to mimic the mesquites I was looking at earlier. And I think that'll be the details. We'll do some down and around. Okay, cool. Did I combine these layers before erasing that arm bit? Okay. I didn't. Good. Very slinky. Her top is almost too large? Or it's not large enough. Very top heavy. I'm going to see how it looks when I erase this detail from under the shoulder. I like that. Very dramatic. I'm going to mess with this bottom to see if I can get it to be bugging me less. Nope. Maybe if this part was more dramatic, we can get kind of a swoop flare action. Maybe. Cool. We're gonna give her a little jewelry up here. And I think we're gonna give her a nice, I'm thinking something like that. A little bit more dramatic. Or we could go straight. Straight's kind of interesting. It's not quite in line with the time. Maybe something mid that gives this interesting shape. Nope. Maybe if we leaned more into kind of like a hair curls type dealy. Okay, I like that. It's a little bit lopsided. It is. I knew it. We'll just mush that into shape. Fantastic. Now let's put this fabulous hair combo on this thing and probably mess with the eyes a little bit more. Whoop. Something's a little odd about them. Maybe I'll just fix them in painting. Nope. You could definitely see it from there. Ah. I think because you have the eye partially covered over by the whole thing, it makes her look a little bit lazy. Whereas if you had a small eye, and it would make her, ooh, that eye's still weird looking. It's gonna haunt me forever. The real monster is this wonky eye. Nope. Could be her eyebrows. Oh, yes, this is much better. Oh. I think her mouth was too big. My brush is really big. Okay, I'm gonna raise her eyebrows and see if it makes her eyes look any less weird. Okay. It's kind of neat. Stop adding that. I like that better. We'll do a slip. I'll fix this very messy lineage over here. Messy all the way over here. Nope. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna add a hair and see if I still like it. I think she still doesn't have enough forehead. I didn't even get to the hair before I decided to mess with it again. Whoop. I'm gonna bring that ear a little bit in. Clean it up. Fix her neck. Okay, cool. We'll give her her head jewelry that I will paint in later. That's a weird angle. I feel like adding hair on the side messes with that silhouette, so I think I'm going to keep it minimal down here. Okay. Flip. Oh. Now it looks like she's saying hi. That's okay. We'll mess with it. Cool, and I think real quick I'm going to do this part. Reference? Are you still sideways? You're still sideways. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're sideways. That's annoying. Get out of here. I'm going to turn this guy off and bring this sketch over here so that I could work on it near that. Turn that off, bip to another layer. Whoop. Okay. Very buggy indeed. Shoop. We do something a little bit different here with her clothing. I'm moving a little bit everything. That doesn't make sense. I'm moving everything up a little bit. Whoop. Alright, I think I'm going to do kind of a little... I'm gonna jump to a reference. Red and white, fluffy. Pretty sure that looks weird. That's not 1930s. That's something else. Oh yeah, glovies. I forgot her glovies. We're gonna give her low gloves so that we can still get a little bit of skin there and we can get some nice elbow wrinkles. I do have to define these fingers. I like to start with the middle 2 fingers and then make the other fingers around it. And thumbs always face inward, if that makes sense. Whoop. And then we could do her little clutch type thing. Looks like a piece of mail right now, but that's fine. And then we'll add a couple of wrinkles around here to imply the wearing of gloves. Of course, we'll know when we color it. Great. Now, unsidetracked back to this head pose, which is kind of the exact same thing as this. So I'm not even sure if I like it. Bip. I like these two, but I feel like I need something interesting and thirdly. So I think I'm going to jump to a big pencil and nope. Shoop. I think I'm going to go for kind of like a smiling gesture here. One where one shoulder is up, the other is down. Maybe she's looking directly at us. And we can get a little bit of a smile in there. I'm thinking open-toothed. Oh yes, that makes way more sense. And then we can draw her winking, maybe. Ooh. I don't like the eyebrows there. I like that. Oop, this is weird. I gotta work with this. Okay. So I'm gonna redraw her body so that it's more expressively moving. And that's kind of weird, kind of interesting. Maybe if I flip that? No. Ah. Head's too small here. I like that as a base. I feel like it fits better. Flows a little better with everything else here. Maybe her hair is down in something else. Yeah. Okay. Turn that off, drop it, and then we're going to work on the line art. So I'm going to grab my baby pencil. And I often like to start with the mouth on these things. No. Yes. Good. Yes. I like that. That works. I think that eyelash is going too far. We'll mess with that. No, not that. Then I'll draw out the rest of her head. Give her some ears. This is the shape of the ears I gave her before. I kind of gave her funky little pointy ears, didn't I? Great, and we'll put her hair down this time, but I think I'm still gonna do that funny swoop. Except she's not wearing her jewelry. Shoop. I'll define that later. I'm going to mess with this. I don't think people were walking around wearing pants at that time, but you know, it's a loose reference, whatever. And then we'll give her kind of a funky little blouse type deal. I drew her hand up here on her chest, and I think I could still do that. Maybe she is laughing at someone's ridiculous request. Or maybe someone's like, can I get a picture of you? And she's like, no way. Boop. That's a weird hand. I think it's because I haven't defined the rest of the shoulder yet. So it looks odd. And it's too long. Hand looks odd. I think it's because there's not quite enough. Nope, that looks odd. I don't like this overall angle, so I'm gonna have her arm coming out like that. Maybe thicken it up a little. Shoop, great. And I want to give her some nice ridges here on her shoulders. Nope, not like that. Like that. We'll give her a little collar. It's dramatic. Okay, now we're gonna flip her and see if she looks horrendous. Oh, yes, she does. There we go. Okay, I think I'm going to reposition probably this one there and this one back out. Then I'll do a little bit of erasing, maybe? Nah. The whole drawing makes the pose. Maybe if I moved her down. Mm-mm. That could work. Nope. I'm going to move her in. So that's fairly simple. We can have a little bit of overlap there. And I'm going to start laying down some color. I have a purpley gray background. I always like to start with a mid-tone background. And I want to give her, I don't know, maybe I'll just start with a gray tone. We'll start with there. That's very greeny looking. What do you think? Should she wear red or black or something else entirely? Whoop. Both. Make her look fancy, huh? I was planning on it. Whoop. Okay. So when I was looking at mosquitoes, I was looking at these bluey ones. It doesn't quite fit the color palette of the era. Of course, we also just have the black and white mosquitoes. That might be kind of neat. But I wanted her fur coat to kind of echo those funny little hairs coming off of them. So I think what I'm going to do is first I'm going to pick a skin color. I can make her ghostly. Maybe if I brush her with blue? I don't care for that. Because most of the time these people were in warm colors. So if I did that and then gave her something shadowy around her eyes, something sort of like that. Nope, not on her lip. That might be kind of neat. Or it makes her look sick, which it totally does. Oh wait, I'm on the right one. Yeah. That might be neat. I'm going to drop her not as a clipping mask. Fix that. Oh, how'd that happen? Yeah, I could make her scarf an emerald color. If I made her scarf the focal point, we'll just hit that with a color first. And then we'll try that. I think maybe I want to do like a gradient type color, some color variation. Nope, that's movie vamps. Whoop, mesquite. Yeah. Okay. Nope. know it looks like I'm making this thing really dark, but just stay with me for a second. I'm going to come back in with some color, and then I'm going to, not that either. We can start with that. It's rough, but we can start with that. And then we could think about the color for the dress. If I made it black, if I made it black, it'd definitely pop. And if I made it red toned, it could match the makeup. Nope, wrong size. Whoop. Maybe a little bit lighter. Better is darker, I think. Let me mess with that. I like that. But I'm not quite loving this red. Okay. I think I'm gonna do a subtle effect all the way up. Make it more subtle than that. Might be interesting if I crimson, huh? Might make it interesting. I want her gloves to stand out against her body a bit more. So if I made her gloves dark, they would shoop. I like that. That's kind of interesting. If I made this red, this purple here a bit more red toned, wrong one. Maybe it would match up a little. Not with that blending stick I want. Doop, doop, doop. Okay, I'm gonna mess with her hair real quick. A lot of these actresses were like super blonde, but then again the cameras weren't that great, so I'm gonna try out like a platinum, I guess. Nope, don't like that. So I'm gonna switch to the opposite and do kind of a reddy brunette. I like that. I like that a lot more. We'll make her bag matching to her scarf thing. Whoop. Not unclipping mask, an alpha lock, different. I like that. And I think, let me try her, making her stick that color. Yeah, I like that. There's a reason red and green are so well liked. Okay. I'm going to lay some base colors down for her face. And I think what I'm going to start with is kind of a red undertone, peachy undertone. Not that, and too bright. And we'll go to something darker and smokier. Bigger. Yep. Just a little tiny bit. Sweet. And then we'll go in with another layer around her eye. I think we'll bring her skin tone back in for kind of a shine. And then a little bit shinier than that, right at the waterline. Very shiny. Now I'm gonna mess with her eyes, and the first thing I'm gonna do is maybe something kind of weird. Whoop. Well, that's not very weird. That turned out to be the exact regular eye color. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to leave that with base colors, crush them down, and start basing this gal out. Snatch that color. There's some erasing I need to do. Clean up. Great. I need this to be over the top of that. And that too. Good. That's... wait. There we go. And gonna outline this dude right here. Shoop. Right, cool. And since I'm outlining, I'll go ahead and paint her into... I don't know if I'll end up coloring this one. I might just give her like a little bit of facial shading, because the two poses I want to focus on are the other two. But I do at least want to outline her so that the drawing stands out from the back, from the color. Good. Ooh. Alright, cool. And I can turn this gal back on, and I can start doing that. Cool, and we'll give her some hair color at least, which I think we shall endeavor to make very shiny. Cool. And then we're gonna jump to her tongue, which is what I was excited for, which is kind of weird sounding, but excited for it nonetheless. And I'm going to pick a nice tongue color. It's probably a nice tongue color. I'm going to base this whole thing out in it, and then I think I'm going to color it similar to her scarf. Because I think her scarf, why is that doing, I don't care, it's fine. And I need a texture brush would be best. Yes, yes, okay, cool. Okay, I like that. We're going to work on this hair. Wrong brush, which I take offense to. Ah. Now I could make her teeth gray. I usually make eyes and teeth about the same color. But I think gray teeth doesn't show up that much, so I think I'm going to make her teeth nice and white or semi-yellow. Boop. Yeah, okay, cool. Crunch. All right. I need to fill out her silhouette a bit more before I move on to my next step, and I like to take a big pencil for that and just refine a little bit of the color selection. We'll grab that. Ah, totally wrong color. Grab, grab. Okay, and then I'm gonna pick a better background color for this. I don't know. That works for me. Shoot. I could actually move. Nah, I'm fine with that. Alright, cool. And now I'm going to recolor the line art so that matches. If I made this solid black, does that show up enough? No, it does not. So that's going to stay that color. And we're going to hit that with this line art. close clipping. Now before I start painting these guys, start rendering them, I like to hit it with like a level of multiply. And I do some erasing to give some, like, to start working on the depth before I come in with painting everything. And that works quite well for me currently. Probably make that a little less harsh. There we go. In the end, I would like her shawl thing to be very shiny, and so is her stick. A little bit of color and light there. And I think that works. And then we're going to add a second layer for more depth shadows. There we go. And I like to draw these harsh shadows in by hand. Well, I draw everything in by hand, but I guess I mean I like to draw it in instead of erase it away. Nope, that's way too big of a blender, and I think that's the wrong blender. Okay, come under here, add some shadows, a little bit of depth. That should be very dark because now the light's going to punch it. That too, and underneath her purse and thing will have a nice shadow on it too. Okay, I'm gonna add, probably erase just a little bit away from her eyes. Nope, smaller. Yes. I'm gonna come back in with one layer for highlights. I like to do a really pale yellow color for that. Bottom lip in the corner of the mouth. Up here a little bit. Eyes. This thing. I was gonna give her claws, but then I ended up giving her gloves, so, you know. And we'll add a little bit of that here too. Okay, cool. I'm gonna drop that all on top, and now I'm going to get in with some painting, I think. Ooh, that's freaky without the line art. It's actually freakier without the line art. Anyway. That is way too big of a brush to do anything with. I want to add a little bit of red into her eyes. We'll add that darkness back, that pupil. And then we'll refine her eyeshadow a little bit with a pencil. I like to come in with Eagle Hawk. I think it's an old brush now because they just came out with a new brush set on Procreate, so I think I've been officially using this for ages. Oh, this is the one that I made that adds color depth. That's fine. That works out okay. Gotta switch to the other one. There we go. I'm actually going to go in and lighten up the bottom lip a little bit so that you can get a little bit more. Understanding from that, keep the keep the top lip dark. I think I am going to end up giving her her fangs on the outside too, because those are actually, they're kind of set quite far back. I don't even know if they'd stick out, but I could still do it. We'll try it. Whoop. Alright, cool. We're gonna add some more depth under her eyes. I like to add kind of like a cleanup around the lashes so that they make a little bit more sense from afar. Nope. Yes. And then we'll clean up her cheek a little bit by adding like a stripe of kind of one of the brightest skin tones she has. Like the light is bouncing off right here. Probably wouldn't make it all the way down to there, so we'll get rid of that. And then I'm going to define her nostrils a little bit more by using the local colors around her face. Whoop, whoop. Cool. We're going to clean that up just a smidgen. Kind of like the shadow that ended up here. I'm going to bring it all the way down here and add a little bit of divots around. This should be probably completely light. I shouldn't see any line art, so I'm going to color that in. And I'm going to, nope, not that color. I'm going to come in and fill that. And if you wanted to be able to tell the difference, you can always just turn on and off the paint layer and see how much depth it adds. I'm going to jump up to her hair and start working on a little bit more definition here. I don't like that curve. Also, when you work on a separate layer, you could easily delete or erase any details that you've just added that you don't like. And I need to add a little bit more shines and stuff to her hair. But for now, I'm going to add detail, fix up the curve a little bit. I actually like the swoop, so I'm going to color that in. That's why I pick the base color in before you start painting, so you can easily start defining stuff. I don't like how it comes all the way over here, and I want that to be clean too. Nope. 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 Yes. We're gonna add some shine. Maybe I want to switch to Eagle Hawk for that. A little bit more subtle. Okay, I think I want to blend in this harsh line a little bit, so I'm going to come in with the Eagle Hawk again and do a little bit more detail work around her face. And I think I want more of a shine up here. Oh, we've just hit afternoon here. I started streaming late morning, around 11, and I've been on at it for almost 2 hours. Boop. Ah, that's cool. I like that. I have to do something about this hand. It is crying for help. It wants to not exist anymore, but I'm not going to let that happen. Nope. Instead, I'm going to clean it up just a little, because I think I actually want to do this scarf. And I'm going to jump to an entirely different thing so that I can do this better. I don't want that. I want something rougher and larger. I'm going to play up this scarf a little bit more. And we're going to come in with more color. It's going to be fairly dark underneath her hair. And we'll get a little bit lighter as it comes out. Man, it's late where you are. Doop, doop, doop. Great. I like that. I think it's interesting. And we're going to get lighter still as we go. Nope, nope. Yes. Cool. We're going to add a couple of shining flecks around. I'm going to turn that off so I could pick this blue color back up. And I'm going to hit it with a little bit of reflecting color so it has a bit more variation to it. And I think I want this to be a bit more detailed, so I'm actually going to come in with a pencil and start adding a little bit of more roughness to it. I'll switch to blue. Turn this gal off for a second so I could focus on this fluff. I like this texture because it kind of reminds me of like a moth, of like moth fur. That furry body it's got going on. I'm gonna do a couple of large tufts, I guess you can call them. And I want that purple, that deep purple, to still be peeking through to add a little bit of dimension back. Nope, that's way too dark up there. But I can add that. Cool. Snag that color. I'm gonna add a couple of these longer strands kind of down. Do I want that up there? It doesn't really show up there, so I'm not gonna do it. But I am gonna do it here. Sweet. I want to make this dress shimmery when I get to it, but I think I want to define this gemstone before I move on here. I'm going to start with the darkest colors first on the very edge. I'm going to pick the next up color. And then we'll add a bit of a shine to it. Good, I like that. Gonna add, jump to a thing so I could work on this guy. I'm jumping to another layer so that the fingers won't interfere with me that much while I'm trying to get the colors to be right. The small normal bug ones, your moths aren't furry. Huh. Oh, I didn't jump to a new layer. Whatever. It's fine. I'll just select that, copy paste it, and hit. Nope, not that. Alpha lock. Good. Then I'll erase one finger, not with that eraser. That's not a good eraser. Good. Combine. Green. And we're going to add that white tip, maybe slightly less white. Cool. I'm going to get a smoke trail in here real quick. And on my smoke trails, I'm sure this isn't very unique, but I like to erase the edge a little bit so that it looks like it's trailing off. Cool. Gonna work on that hand a little bit. You can't even see what's going on here. So that's a good thing that you need to work on it a bit. And I need to add a little bit of, you could probably just use this pencil color first. Nope, don't like that. Whoop. Nope, a little smaller. And we'll shrink that down so that I could add corner bits. The difference between overpainting and the underpainting, underpainting, adds a lot. Whoop. Okay, I'm going to grab this dress and try to make it shiny. That'd be cool. I'm going to start with the darks first. And then we're going to add a couple of harsh highlights around. And even harsher. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to snatch her blush right off her face. And I'm going to slap it on her other self. I'm thinking here maybe she's no maked up. That's not a word. She only got a little bit of makeup on. Just the night makeup. Yes. Night makeup. We blend that out a little bit. I want to bring in that's not the color I wanted to grab. I wanted to fix that. Yes. Needs to look good in her dreams, or if she's sneaking around at night looking for somebody, looking to steal someone's blood. One of those. It's gotta look good for both. That one tooth is still gray. I just noticed that, and it's bothering me. There we go, fixed. Good. I'm going to snatch this red and bring it up to some more shines around her dress in the folds. Good. All right. Alright, and let's give this gal some shading too. Whoop. I'll smooth that out in a little bit, but I want to get in. Oh, I forgot to color that appropriately. There we go. And we'll do a little bit, nope, not like that. That's not good. I don't like this blender, I'm switching to a different one. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna add one more layer for slightly more in-depth shading. Does she wear? I haven't painted in her lips yet. It's kind of a placeholder. I could give her black lipstick. Shoop. I just like to shade in the lips of my characters, of a lot of my characters when I first draw them. Boop, 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 boop. We'll add a little bit more dramatic shading up here and in her eye. And now that she looks like she has deer makeup on, we're going to go ahead and lower that opacity. Blend just a smidgen. Cool. Yeah. Now, since everything's combined, we could do a little bit more blending work. And a couple of highlights would probably be good. I want to do, selected everything accidentally. Nope. Nope. Yes. We'll blend that out into her cheek. Give her a nose highlight. Good, let's get a little bit of overpainting here. Mainly I'm going to come in with the color of her eyes and probably mess around with her lipstick a little bit. That is not overpainting, has to be on top of the thing. There we go. Cool, I'm gonna snatch that orange and red off. Nice. All right, cool. I'm going to give her a little bit, well, I'm going to try to give her a little bit of gum, but I'm not sure if her teeth are up high enough for that. We're going to do that. I'm going to fix that tooth. Whoop. Wrong color. Alright, I'm going to do something with this lipstick now, right after I make... Nope, wrong color. After I fix this face contour. Cool. Alright, so I could do black lipstick. Oh, that's green. Why is it green? I could do nearly black lipstick, maybe. And then I'm going to lighten it up a bit for the bottom lip, just because it tells us which lip is facing up towards the quote-unquote light. I'm going to use that lip color down here to highlight her Cupid's bow, and a little bit on the side. Maybe blend that out. Nope, not that big of a blender. That works. I wonder if I should blocks her. What if I flip her? I'm going to lighten this black line here so that it feels more like it's facing towards the light. Whoop. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing with the strap that's not in the darkness. And probably fix this gap here that I didn't notice before I started painting. Okay. Now either I shade this necklace in or I get rid of it. And I think I'm actually going to shade it in. So I think I'm going to make it, I'm feeling like doing an eye. So I'm going to start with like the mid-grade, the mid-tone here, and make my eye shape. Make a couple of chains. I'm going to go in with the very dark color so I can add detail. And always shade on the opposite side of your light source and shade less as you go. I'll go in with my darkest color. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then I'll come back in with that lighter color. Probably need more of a shine than that. Cool. And then we'll add a little bit more chaining detail along, like it's some sort of detailed necklace, and then I will fix her hair over the top of it. Yes. She has pretty much no definition to her hair, so I should probably start doing something about that. Nope, don't like that. Like that better. Cool. I'm going to add some fairly simple hair detail across and probably just define the back here a bit by grabbing the background color and coloring it out. Whoop, there we go. I like that quite a bit. I'm going to repeat the process I did for her head necklace thing. Headband. It's a headband. I know what it is. I think I want to add that dark shadowing around under the necklace to remind us the necklace has depth. Yes. Nope, not that color. That color. Nope. Now that I'm here, I feel like she needs a bit more forehead. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that in. That's even worse. Don't tell me I can't liquefy layers. How dare you? Nope. Nope. Does that even help? Yes. Alright, I've got a little bit of time left here, so I'm going to jump to this other gal. Nope, not that. I'm going to jump to this other and give her a light coloring. Whoop. I gotta jump to a different layer, and I'm going to not do that. There we go. And that's what I'm gonna do. Great. And then not with that. Alright, I think I should do another makeup look over here, but I think I'm going to do... I could do darker eyeshadow on her, maybe? And I'm going to probably stick to the same red color palette I've been doing this whole time. And maybe I'll switch it up and give her, because she's wearing pants in this one. So I'll switch it up and give her a little bit of black pants. I know, crazy, right? Whoop. And we go. Good. All that detail I drew in the other day, the other hour, not there anymore. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. And now I'm going to steal her red contour. Not like that, I'm not. And I'm going to start with it as a base color for everything. Doop doop. I like that. That's creepy. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight underneath, below and above her eye. Whoop. And probably snatch a lighter brown here so that I can do a little bit of face contour. And that makes her look a little bit old, which I'm okay with. Vampires can be old, that's fine. Gave her kind of dark gray eyes, which I think makes her yeller eyes pop. There we go. And then we'll hit that with a little bit of shading. Multiply, I think we'll do the light coming from the same side as we have for the other two. Very rough, we'll just have it come through. Maybe we'll have this one be very dramatic. We'll lighten it just a little bit. Keep that long neck in there. Oop, make sure that's a clipping. There we go. And yeah, that's fairly simple. I think I want to get her yellow eye in there because her eye is so dark that I think it'd be cool if her yellow eye was peeking out. Do a little bit of a different shape here, different color wave. I still want to get the red in, so we'll switch that up and then hit it with that dark dot. A little bit of light coming in from it. And I'll do a bit of detail work around her eye because I think it's interesting looking. She looks like she's very tired of vampiring in this expression. Whoop, I made a wrong color. Boop. I think I want to add a brighter highlight for this nose area right there. A little bit of wind stoop. Gonna steal her teeth color and add it in for this. Cool, but I'm gonna steal her red lip from over here. Give me that. Give me that lip. Nope, too bright. I'm gonna lessen the black lining around her face. Not like that, I'm not. Alright, and I'll fill in a couple of gaps I did while outlining her. Alright, and that's my take on a vampire, kind of loosely based on Hollywood glam. Kind of lost that a little bit in the third pose, the third winking pose. I really like the contrast of like the emerald scarf thing with the dark red clothing and hair. I think that's fairly interesting. Yeah, I like it. So I'll be streaming every Friday this month, doing different monsters, news and whatnot. I'm gonna go ahead and log off at this point. Thank you for joining my stream. I really enjoyed showing everybody, and my mouse is not working for some reason. Gosh darn it. Come on, you. There we go. All right. Bye. Have a good day. Crunch. 4.